What do you think?
Whoa, very nice.
It's very cool, Bateman, but that's nothing. What do you think?
Nice.
But wait, you ain't seen nothing yet. White.
Impressive. Very nice. Let's see Paul Allen's. Oh my god.
RPGs are very, very weird. Even defining an RPG is kind of difficult. Every single game that comes down nowadays has some RPG elements. But some things should not be defined for it to be understood. If I say, yeah man, this game is an RPG, you will probably understand what I'm talking about. And when it comes to said RPGs, they are usually separated into two big groups. Eastern RPGs,
Now place your hand on my chest.
which are 90% of the time a bait for neckbeards and 14-year-olds, and Western RPGs,
Sorry, my face is tired from dealing with everything.
which are 90% of the time horrible. But there is one thing that is consistent throughout both Eastern and Western RPGs. It is the horrible writing. Now, I unfortunately played a lot of RPGs back in the day, so if you think that I'm wrong, well, it is simply because you play these games and not these. It is very rarely that the game has good writing and even more rare, good gameplay. Story is not at all important if your game focuses solely on gameplay, but when you do an RPG, you have to make sure your story is good, because the whole point of an RPG is to make sure you feel like you're part of the world, make you see fractions of yourself in the character you play, and some games do grant you this aspect. Yes, some RPGs don't have that. Witcher 3 is a good example. I doubt everyone will look at Geralt and go like, oh my god, this is literally me. Of course not, because Geralt has a very distinct personality that is tough to replicate in the real world.
Guess you'd know, since your mom's a bitch.
But the world and the lore is built so good that you forget about all of this and dive balls deep into this universe. But no story can carry poorly executed gameplay. You can write the most insane story ever, and I will leave immediately if I have to play something like Balan Wonderworld for it.
We're gonna go play Banjo Tooie now.
So when it comes to Disco Elysium, it is pretty hard to look at it that way, because there is no gameplay in this game. This is more of a point and click game than it is an RPG, but now I do not know how. I don't want to know what kind of voodoo magic they used there. The only thing I wanna say is this game is a masterpiece. Usually I like to give my verdict in the last portion of the video, but I just couldn't help it here. The game is amazing. It is highly engaging, perfectly written,
Don't sweat it, Bratan! You don't need a gun to have fun! We can still have fun! It's not all over!
and looks stunning. There is so much to uncover here that I don't even know where to begin with this video. The game throws a lot of text to you from the get-go. So if you're not a big reader, if you still go to see a boob instead of book, if you don't type 1 millionth review of 1984 and To Kill a Mockingbird on Reddit saying that it is painful how realistic the books are, just get the fuck out of here, because this is the intellectual big boys club now. That's right, we're reading books here, bucko. So yeah, there is a lot of text in this game. There is in fact so much of it that one of my friends stated that it is too much for him. But personally, I never really felt like it was overwhelming. Every single piece of text here has a voiceover, so if you get tired to read, you can just listen to it. Now here would be a good time to do the sponsorship thingy for Audible.com.
If I had one!
The reason it does not become overwhelming is because the game is not only written flawlessly, it is also voiced flawlessly. You don't hear people falling asleep while reading the text from a piece of paper.
That wizard came from the moon.
Even a random Jimmy NPC feels more alive than one of the main characters in Skyrim.
So the Jarl thinks you can be of use to me. Oh yes, he must be referring to my research into the dragons.
I don't know why running around modern day France and listening to people talk is so enjoyable, but it is okay, and I can't help it. One more comparison I want to make is visual novels. The thing about them is they're kinda like Eastern RPGs.
Chaos exists. I knew it. I told you.
Either neckbeard bait or the most depressing shit you have ever witnessed. In these kinds of games you also just read stuff, while occasionally clicking on the choices you want, and the game still feels fine. The only problem with these games is that they are not really games. At least for me, they never really feel like it, and you usually have two choices with a pretty much obvious answer. With Discolism, you feel like you can be anything you want really. You're not a blank nobody driven by your libido, you're a detective, or a disco star, or a doombringer, or a traditionalist? Yeah, can we go to the next chapter now, please? This game is very unique and has a ton of cool and unique ideas. Let's talk art design first. The game is set in a completely fictional place called Revachol, but it is pretty easy to tell that this is France, or at least close to it. What time this game is set in is pretty hard to tell, but my guess would be something around 40s or 50s. And the whole game is built on that exact style. The whole world is painted with what seems like an oil or watercolor brush. All characters have their unique portraits drawn like paintings. It's just so fascinating, man. Just look at how beautiful it all is. That's all very cool, but did you guys know that
if it doesn't rhyme, you're not pronouncing it right?
Now, I'm not an arts guy, but from what I could tell, it bears resemblance to expressionism, I think. Don't throw rocks at me if I'm wrong, okay? I'm not an expert here. If you've ever seen Dave McKean work, you get what I mean. It is pretty similar. Even your feelings and emotions have unique portraits drawn. Here are some of my favorites. Art design in this game is one of the best I've ever seen. It is just so stylish and even shocking at parts, when you think how much thought was put into those paintings. The other concept I really want to talk about is the brain of the main character. Our guy right here is pretty unique, because his mind is like a council of some sort. You have all of these guys who talk to you throughout the game. For example, if you need to convince someone or something, your rhetoric will say something to you about it. If you feel something is not right, your shivers will tell you about it.
Where the cold oceanic expanse lies, and behind it, another world.
If you are angry and feel like punching someone, Half-Light will tell you about it.
Fucking mind games.
But they don't just talk to you like, oh yeah, you're tired my dude, go to sleep. No, they talk like people. They have some sass to them, some sarcasm. It's like you're doing an eternal monologue of some sort. Sometimes you'll just walk around kicking mailboxes and your brain will go like, hey, wait, did you know that the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell? It is amazing how often I was hyperventilating over some shit encyclopedia says. This is my favorite guy by far. I don't want to show all the things he says because it will ruin some moments for you, but he's amazing. Level him up as much as you want. This whole brain talk is one of the most bizarre things about this game. It's always making you feel like you are schizophrenic or some sort. But it's also a bit realistic, don't you think? Do you honestly think you never got some weird unrelated thoughts about some stupid shit? Of course you do, everyone does. I remember a long time ago I was doing some exam at school and I spent 20 minutes or so thinking about what pizza I wanna order when I get home. You as a person always have some sort of inner monologue, and it is sometimes important to the story of the game. Well, to be honest, in a lot of games you have these internal monologues. Usually they are done by applying reverb to the audio track and playing it in the background.
This building, in the middle of the jungle. Nothing strange about that.
Even in games like Divinity, you have internal monologues, but they're usually just your thoughts written in a grey box. And Disco Elysium makes a huge emphasis on internal monologues, because it is detrimental for the story. And our guy, as you might have guessed, is not completely the same. So, to show it, they do this.
Push her further. No, don't push her. It sounds as if she's about to cry.
Your brain and thoughts will sometimes fight each other, try to manipulate you, or simply lie to you.
I compromised. I'm sorry I didn't catch it sooner. There's no way. All bullshit, man. Especially that guy. No fucking way, man. Really? Quick glory.
But did you guys know that...
A pop quiz is a short examination designed to test your knowledge without any prior warning or announcement. Such exams allow the teacher to assess how thoroughly the students have retained the material at hand. Voila.
Like, one time I was interrogating a girl and my libido took over, so my brain was not working correctly. Now, if this is not brilliant, I don't know what is. By understanding how your emotions work, you will do yourself a massive favor when playing the game. You have to understand on what feelings you can and cannot rely in certain situations, and thus it will make your detective work 100% easier. In fact, this game is so great, I asked my man MoistCr1tical to do Moist Meter on it right here, right now. Take it away, Charlie.
Initiating moisture.
Hello guys, it's me, MoistCr1tical here. I'm here to review a game called Disco Elysium. This game is a very poopy, stinky butthole of a game. Plugging into the moist meter, it would give it around 90%, just a very moisty media wiener butthole brownie game. That's about it. See ya.
Wow, thank you Charlie White, that was definitely not a deepfake I hastily put together. In fact, can we get a round of applause for Charlie in the comments? This was my first genuine reaction when I opened the upgrade menu.
I'm confused! I'm confused right now, G!
It does seem very, very convoluted at first, but trust me, it's actually not. The thing is, this is not Divinity. There is no build to win.
I can just move the chest behind you and there we go. Critical hit of 6,000 damage!
This game is the definition of fuck around and find out. There is no skill that is 100% necessary in this game. They all have their parts to play. Upgrade whatever the fuck you want, play the game, have fun. Yes, on your second playthrough you will probably notice how you can speedrun the game with the necessary skills. But that is not that fun. The game is really goofy and entertaining when you just upgrade what you want without thinking about it too much. Of course, the story of this game is its strongest aspect, and let me tell you, the story is just magnificent. Not only because it's written amazingly, but because of the themes and style of its telling. Every character you meet has some part to play in the story of the game. The plot ties everyone and everything together, and you always feel satisfied when you get that new piece of a puzzle done. The game is a detective game, as you might have guessed already, and your mission is to solve a very straightforward case. It's in fact so straightforward that you know pretty much everything from the get-go. But it's never so easy as you might have guessed. A lot of detective novels do this. The case begins with a simple thing, but then you see the bigger picture and boom, it wasn't the guy you thought it was all along. But there is a slight twist. Did you notice that I am not calling our protagonist by name? Well, that's because our big man right here does not remember anything about himself, not even his name. And it is your job as the player to not only solve the case at hand, but also solve the mysteries of our main guy. Amnesia always was my least favorite plot device. It's just so easy to walk around, as you barely need any exposition. But let me tell you, this game is so good it does even that really well. Instead of characters explaining everything to you over and over again.
It was a test to see if your data version was ready to face the hurt that you carry inside.
They mock you, they make fun of you, because they are people and not carbon copies of each other.
Oh look, an idiot. Let's point and laugh.
The characters lie to you, the characters deceive you, and you have to fold all the pieces yourself. Like in LA Noire, the characters also lie to you, but instead of giving very subtle hints of a lie, we have to rely on our gang right here. And the thing about them is that they are not really reliable, so we have to deduce ourselves on what is right and what is wrong.
You're lying, Morgan.
Not to mention that you have to be very careful with what you say, because if you say too much or say something that to the wrong guy, you will be in big trouble.
You in deep big trouble.
Now, did you buy this game already, or what are we doing here? Now, I want to talk about the ending, so if you're planning to play the game in the future, please, for your own good, just skip it. Even if you do feel like playing the game sometimes later, skip it. Just click past the timestamp. For all of you other guys, let's go. First, when I saw the ending, I was furious. I was fucking fuming of anger. The ending felt so rushed and so anticlimactic. Just when it feels like it's so coming together, every piece is in place and boom! Random guy that confesses to everything himself. What the fuck? I had my own theories about the killer motives and my list of suspects, but no. Random guy with close to no motive just killed him. And it was because of the glowing bug from outer space. When I arrived to the interrogation, I felt like, wait, this couldn't be the end. There is a part where I'm missing. It could not be the random guy from nowhere, but sadly, no, that was it. So I go back, sit on the couch, trying to grasp on what the fuck just happened, and then it hits me. This was the point all along. This game keeps telling you, solving crimes is not Sherlock Holmes or Agatha Christie novels. Solving crimes is not a game where you just follow clues and the killer was Kim Kitsuragi all along. Oh my god, what a plot twist. Who could have seen that coming? No. Solving crimes is a dark, unpleasant work that is definitely not for everybody. Hell, there is even a book in a bookstore on which your encyclopedia tells you that this is stupid because of how unrealistic it is.
They're not shitting you, detective. This is what the writers think passes for police procedure.
And the game was never about crimes either. The hanged man was just a setting, a chain of events set for Harry to find out who he truly is. No, not that, stop it! To overcome the feeling of grief and constant drinking, to face that the past cannot be changed. The game also drops hints on that you can make things right in reversal, like you would in most games. You know what I'm talking about. The games where you're literally the chosen one born to destroy the Fire Nation. No, in this game you are nobody. Yes, you are in some way the extinction entity and the beach, but if you ignore that, you are just a police lieutenant. You cannot stop the war that was brewing for years. You cannot stop the Wild Pines or the Union. You are just a police detective, and that's it.
That's it.
After realizing all that, I thought that this was in fact one of my favorite video game endings of all time. This game is very deceptive. You always feel like you are missing something, that you are short on time, that you do everything wrong, but you actually don't. It's really hard to miss the main things of the game, as the game will always lead you in the right direction. Even if you fuck up everything, it is still possible for you to solve the case. Now, I want to talk about XCOM mechanics. If you played XCOM or even saw the memes about it, we are on the same page immediately. Basically, the game has this skill check mechanic where you roll the dice in order to progress through the game. In my first playthrough, I got pretty lucky. I rolled a lot of 6-6, but on my last one... well, I'm not gonna talk about it, just watch. The game also has some scripted you lose sections, where no matter what you roll, you are still going to lose, which is also really stupid in my opinion. But I cannot describe the frustration this game gives me when I miss a crucial skill check. At least in XCOM you have a lot of soldiers, so you sometimes can fix your soldier's blindness. Well, actually blindness is not enough, brain damage that's more likely. In this game there is no redo button, so sometimes you are fucked. I think they should have added some guaranteed skill checks, like when your stat is really high up there. I know it plays into the narrative of our boy being a drunkard, so he might screw up on everything, but come on man, really? Now, don't tell anyone I told you this, but you can actually save scam in this game. But hear me out, on your first playthrough, never save scam. The game would be 1,000,000% more fun if you don't, because this Coliseum is super unpredictable at times. It will make you feel like the character more and just make you really uncertain about your actions. And also it will give you that sweet dopamine when you roll a 6-6 on a 3% skill check. But on your second playthrough, do it as much as you like, especially if you're going for achievements, because some of them rely heavily on skill checks. So, you know, I ain't gonna judge you. The game has one of the most wacky mechanics I have ever seen. Basically, you can choose a political agenda that will drastically impact your gameplay. You have communists and, you know, not the Reddit communists, actual communists. Ultra-liberals, which are my favorite, the guys we're going to skip, and moralists, which are basically centrists. Funny thing is, the game hates centrists for some reason even more than the traditionalists.
Degenerates like you belong on a cross.
Ultra-liberals are by far the most funny ones. You basically get money every time you shit on communists. It's just so hilarious. You then buy a fucking snot on a tissue, sell it to a billionaire who gives you free net worth, and then you promote yourself by hiring a drunk hobo so he will redecorate main square of the town to promote you. This is real. This is in the game. The game has a very serious theme. It brings politics, alcoholism, depression, struggle of the poor, and a lot more other dark themes. But at the same time, this is one of the most funny games I have ever played. You can run around yelling that the apocalypse is coming, yell "I am the law" to everyone you see, pretend that you're a superstar cop, and you can be a hobo cop, ladies and gentlemen. Hobo cop. I am not lying, this is a thing in the game. And it is not your telltale game writing, every one of those things will have an impact on your game. This game does an amazing job at being really funny and at the same time very serious. Even the clothes you find will grant you various stats. So basically you will run around in a see-through tank top while wearing funny filthy Frank Rice to your head, while also wearing a Japanese robe and steampunk shades. Just from that you can give the game 10 out of 10. Come on IGN, step up your game.
It has a little something for everyone.
So even this game is not perfect, although it is pretty close to it. The game is very buggy. During my playthrough my audio was going all over the places. Some lines were said so loud I would jump on my seat when I heard them.
Hey, what's that noise? There must be another way into the building.
Sometimes the music cuts off, and sometimes your camera will get stuck on something, but most importantly, some items don't glow for you to pick up. There is one super important item that you need to get by the end of the game, and you have to reload the game to get it, because it's just inaccessible if you don't do it. There is also never 100% chance to do anything, god fucking damn it, are you serious right now? Also scripted events, which I've mentioned before, but other than that, the game is amazing. I know that this is very interesting indeed, but did you guys know that
sometimes a kebab is just a kebab?
Disco Elysium is one of the best games I have ever played. The game never failed to surprise me. By the time of me recording this, I beat the game 3 times, and it still was finding ways to impress me. If you still did not play it, well, what the fuck are you waiting for? It's on Steam, what else do you want me to do? Sell one kidney if you have to, the game is worth it.
Marcel? Where are you going with that disc? You are not putting that on again. Marcel, okay, if you press that button, you are in very, very big trouble.
I would often go there, to the tiny church there, the smallest church in Saint-Saëns, though it once was larger. How the real may rest there, down through the mist there, toward the 7 Sisters, toward those pale cliffs there. I would often stay there, in that tiny yard there. I have been so glad here, looking forward to the past here. But now, you are all alone. None of this matters. No, none of this matters at all.